The red pill trap in breakups. It is really tempting when you are hurting, the idea that you can just take a pill or adopt a certain mindset and this will make you feel invincible, this will make you feel better. It's really seductive. But following this way of thinking is not only a really good way to extend how long it takes for you to move on from this breakup, it's also a really good way to feel lonely in the long run. So there is a concept in psychology called pathological defensiveness. And essentially this is what happens when you build a wall so high that nothing can hurt you anymore. But at the same time, nothing good can reach you either. And honestly, this is exactly what most red pill advice is teaching you to do. It frames your detachment as strength. And it tells you that if you just stop caring, then you win. But I've looked at the data on this, and while this mindset might protect you from pain in the short term, it immunizes you against joy in the long term by keeping you in 3 specific traps. And those traps are what I want to share with you in this video today. And so the first trap is what I call the shield trap. And this is where phrases like "they belong in the streets" comes from. It's the idea that love or relationships are just a transaction between 2 people. And we use these ideas to then build a shield around us. Because if your ex belongs in the streets, then when they leave you, it's not personal, right? It means you didn't lose anything valuable. But the problem with this shield is that it dehumanizes people. And when you dehumanize the people that you dated after you break up with them or after they break up with you in a way to protect yourself from the hurt, you are just trading acute grief for chronic long-term loneliness. So you might not feel the sharp pain of the breakup anymore, but you also stop feeling the warmth of connection. And it's in this state of mind where it feels very easily to go numb. And oftentimes people will say, "Oh, I don't feel anything anymore." And it's very easy to fall into this. I mean, we've all done it. I've done it. You get your heart broken and suddenly you find yourself deep in the algorithm, listening to hours of podcast clips or reels where people are just yelling into the microphone about how terrible modern dating is. And you sit there nodding, thinking, yeah, exactly. And it feels so aligned with how you're feeling. And it really is this kind of like rallying cry. And it feels like it's something that you can latch onto. But usually what is underneath all of that is just unprocessed anger, sadness, and fear that needs to be experienced in order for you to move on. And this is the type of work that I love doing. I love helping people get out of this mindset that breakups are a contest to win or this transactional thing and I just need to block myself off from feeling and not caring anymore, into a space where we are doing the work to move through and feel this grief, this anger, this sadness. Because although it feels painful and although it might feel scary or like something you don't know how to do, this is the way through it. This is how we actually move on. This is how we actually get over our breakups and our heartbreak. So if this feels like it's something that you want to do, this type of intentional work, then take a look in the description below. There's some links there on how we can work together deeper on this. And that leads us to the second trap, which is the player trap. In many of these red pill communities, there's this huge emphasis on spinning plates, which means dating multiple women at the same time so you never get attached to a single one and you always have all of these options. And so the logic here is that this makes you alpha or whatever, but psychologically speaking, it's actually just a form of arrested development. Strategies like spinning plates are ultimately just distraction techniques to prevent you from dealing with a lot of the stuff that the breakup is stirring up within you. And it also prevents you from learning how to actually be securely attached to someone. So you never learn how to repair a rupture. You never learn how to be vulnerable. You never learn deep communication skills, because the moment that things start to get hard, you rotate to the next plate, right? And so you aren't actually getting better at relationships. You're just getting better at avoiding them, avoiding the hard work, the intentional work that it takes to build long-term connections. And so this brings us to the third trap, which is the enemy trap. Right? And this mindset starts to teach you to view your own emotions and the people you date as adversaries, as things that are against you, things that need to be managed or things that need to be conquered. And sure, maybe you do get very good at managing them. Maybe you get very good at pushing down your emotions. Maybe you get extremely fit. Maybe you make a bunch of money and you get super successful, and all of these things that are supposed to be the best revenge when you are going through a breakup. But this ultimately leads to just hollow success. You end up in a place where you are physically formidable, you are financially successful, but you're emotionally hollow. And you become what I call fit but fragile. You look great on the outside, but on the inside, right, you've lost the ability to actually let someone in, which is the skill that you need for a long-term connection. And so I think true strength isn't about building this fortress or this wall where no one can get to you, where no one can hurt you, but ultimately building the nervous system capacity so that you do have the courage to keep your quote unquote, your drawbridge down even after you've been burned. Because ultimately, this is what it takes. You need to build your capacity to hold not only the pain that inevitably comes from connection, from heartbreak, but also be able to hold the joy, the pleasure that comes from connection. So again, if this is resonating with you and it feels like something that you want to work on for yourself, right? If you want to do the intentional work instead of just waiting for time to heal your wounds, if you want to do the intentional work to move through this heartbreak in the most efficient way possible so that you can get your focus, so that you can get your productivity, so that you can get your sleep back, then I invite you to take a look in the description below and use the links there so that we can work together deeper on this. So if we agree that this type of red pill cynicism is a trap, we have to start looking at the other lies that we tell ourselves to feel better when we are going through a breakup. Because once you drop this whole idea of my ex belongs to the streets narrative, the next thing your brain might try to do is to convince you that you simply dodged a bullet, right? And so I actually think that this phrase is just as dangerous. It's a form of toxic positivity that, again, prevents you from healing. It distracts you from doing the work to be with the things that this breakup is stirring up. And so I broke down more about this in a video called Your Ex Isn't a Bullet to be Dodged, and I will put a link right here so that you can check it out. Anyway, thank you so much for your patience and peace. I will see you in the next video.